All right, welcome everyone to the first episode of Leaders Unscripted, Your Questions, Their Answers, brought to you by the National Young Leader Committee. I'm Jamie Carson. I'm thrilled to be here with you today, and this podcast is designed to provide you with unprecedented access to some of the most inspiring leaders across the credit union sector. We'll dive deep into their stories, learn from their experiences, and get their insights on the questions that matter to you most. Today, we have a very special guest, Sandra McDowell. Welcome, Sandra. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's such an honor.
Sandra is the founder and CEO of the eLeadership Academy, a longtime partner, supporter, and previous employee of the credit unions. And we're excited to have you here as our first guest. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we dive into the questions, can you give us a brief overview of eLeadership Academy and how neuroscience relates to leadership?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's just so exciting to be kicking off this podcast with you. And for the eLeadership Academy, well, that'll probably weave through the story a little bit about how I'm here with you. But as in the current tense right now, eLeadership Academy serves the system not only in Canada and the US to help develop leadership and coaching capacity in the system. And it really is passion work, purpose work, because the system itself isn't going to be sustainable unless we have great leaders. And I think the sort of unspoken mantra of the eLeadership Academy is to rid the system of, can I say, shitty bosses?
Hey, absolutely.
We just cannot afford to have bad bosses, bad leaders, bad managers in the credit union system because that impacts employee engagement, people leave. So we really are on a mission, purpose work to level up the leadership within the system and also provide access. Because through my own experience, I didn't have access to this kind of training when I needed it most. So we've developed training that credit unions can leverage to be able to build talent from within.
That's fantastic. And can you tell us a bit more about the neuroscience
Oh,
part of
right.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was sort of one of the things it all started, I guess, many years ago with kind of the National Young Leader piece as part of it. Maybe we can touch on that in a bit. But when I won the National Young Leader Award, I won money that I was able to do my master's in leadership and a certification in executive coaching. So I went and took the money that I won and I studied. But what I discovered was that, even though the theory, the concepts made sense when I started teaching them back and sharing them back, people still struggled to be able to apply the learning and make sustainable change. So that led me to the study of neuroscience to really look at what's going on for the brain and the messiness of humans. And what I discovered was that science, cognitive science, neuroscience knows what business needs to know. And it became a translation tool on a lot of the leadership practices around things like emotional intelligence, belonging, inclusion, change. All of those concepts connect back to neuroscience, which was the catalyst for the book that I wrote a number of years ago called Your Mother Was Right, 15 Lessons for Leadership in the Brain. Because when I went to study neuroscience, I thought, I already know this stuff. There's wisdom within us. So being able to take the neuroscience to translate what we intuitively know to be good for leadership and put science behind it, which really works for the bankers in us, the corporate, the finance people inside us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for the share on that. So you mentioned the Young Leader Award that you were one of the winners, and I'm really excited because that's my next one of my next questions. So I'm excited to dive into that too. Many of us have heard you speak before, and absolutely love listening to you. But what I don't know that we all know is your career journey. Where have you been in the credit union system? Where'd you start? How'd you end up here today? And tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I would say it's almost accidental that I ended up in the system, the credit union system, and accidental that that I sort of won everything about my journey to entrepreneurialism was accidental. I actually was doing a deposit in the credit union. I was working in the nonprofit sector. I was in the marketing side of things. I've been through junior hockey and then through tourism marketing. I was doing a deposit at our local credit union, and I overheard the commercial teller talking about a position open in the accounting department. And I thought, wow, wouldn't this be a lovely place to work? They seem like such a good organization. So I had some of my CGA at the time, accounting background. So I applied in the accounting department. And then it was about 6 months in, and I kept having all these ideas. And somebody said, why do you know all this stuff? I said, well, my background and training isn't in accounting. So they marched me into the CEO's office and they said, look, she's got these ideas. Why don't we sort of talk to her? And that began my journey within the credit union, which spanned 20 years, going from the accounting department through to acting CEO, COO, and as well as it seems like every other position in the credit union. And so that's how my journey within the credit union started. It was a bit accidental. And I think I remember at one point, 6 months mark, thinking, is this place for me? Do I fit in? Can I make a difference here? Thinking about whether I should leave. And that would be one of those defining moments in my career where I chose to stay. And then of course, now I'm completely dedicated to understanding the purpose work of credit unions and to get dedicated my life passion to it. So going back to the National Young Leader moment, there was a point in time where my CEO asked me if he could nominate me for the National Young Leader Committee. And so I went and literally Googled, what is a leader? And up came, and Google existed. So that was 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. It existed back then, and came lots of responses. And I said, sure. So I went to take part in the National Young Leader. That was the second year of the award process. And I was surprised, I guess, to be the recipient at that time, to go through and win the award and the money. And then he said, well, if there's a world one that you could win, why don't we send you, or sorry, a national one, why don't we send you to the world? So there was a YCOP World Council Award too. And so he nominated me for that, or my credit union nominated me for that. And I was a recipient of a YCOP award in Rome. So that began my journey on the international world credit union space. So with those awards was where my journey started. But the actual National Young Leader Committee connection goes to this thing about me that's just always doing and taking action. So after I won the award, I asked at the time the CEO or CCUA and the board chair, like, what do I do? What's my responsibilities? And at the time, there were no specific responsibilities. So they said, well, we should start a committee. And so we started the committee. So myself and the first recipient, Eric Dillon, was a winner the first year. We co-chaired that first year, and CCUA took on bringing together a national committee with regional representation across the country. And so that's how the National Young Leader Committee began. And I remember that moment standing asking, well, now what? What do I do? And so I do believe that was a catalyst of where we are today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's fantastic. Like I'm part of the National Young Leader Committee. Very excited to be part of it, and it's very cool to have you here as our first guest, as somebody who really created what we are today. So thank you for that. That's very cool. All right, we're going to dive into some questions. We've gathered some questions from the people that are on Circle, our collaboration platform, and we're excited to dive in and hear some of your thoughts on some of these questions. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Okay, first question that came in. What pivotal moments or lessons in your journey within the credit union system have shaped your leadership philosophy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they're, usually the hard moments, those moments where things maybe go wrong have shaped my career most, that our brains actually learn or more attuned to the negative, or those we remember those difficult moments more. So I would think some of the challenging times that I've had where tension was existing, or collaboration wasn't going as planned, those moments definitely have shaped my career. But also those I guess accidental moments, such as really having an opportunity to be part of the system, and then my CEO recognizing talent in me. So those are some of the defining moments. And I just can think of so many moments visceral. Another moment was after I had won the scholarship money, I did some executive coaching, and I went in with this executive coach. It was on site at Royal Roads University, and the door shut. And I was like, okay, I have to tell this coach that I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how I won these awards. And so he was very skilled at what he did. I was still connected to him today. And he said, so let me understand this. So how many judges were on the Canadian National Young Leader Committee? I'm like, I don't know, 5 or 6. He's like, okay, and how many were on the World Council? And I was like, I don't know, like 10 or something. He's like, so you successfully fooled all these people. I was like, okay. And so he really walked me into that moment of that imposter syndrome. I'd never heard of it, and really helped me to see myself as more objectively. And that was a defining moment in my career where, of course, I still suffer from thinking, who am I? And that quote of Marianne Williamson, who am I to be bright, beautiful, and talented, but more, who am I not? And that began me to just step into spaces to think, who am I not to do these things? Who am I not to speak up? And that has helped shape my career.
That's fantastic. Um, so through that, you spoke a little bit about some of the missteps you have, and you learn from those. I think we've all learned from those times we haven't done things the right way, or you made a mistake. I've heard you talk about battle scars before. Tell me more about battle scars and how you learn from them, and anything else that relates.
Yeah, I've always thought I should do a podcast. I've got a lot of things that I think I should do. Actually, I had this aha moment this year. I said something I should do, and then I had just the second thought that came to me was shoulds are never good. Whenever we say I should do this, probably means we're not going to do it. We shouldn't
Yeah.
should anybody, and when we should ourselves, because as soon as we say I should do this, it's an indication, it's language to watch for. So I should start a podcast. Um, but it's just not made it on my radar because of, I really am so excited for this podcast, the National Young Leaders kicking off, because it requires a lot of discipline, it requires a lot of thought, and I just haven't had the capacity. But the you and I were talking about if I had have started a podcast, my podcast was really about trying to get at the sort of the battle scars of the lessons learned from leaders in the credit union system. So I'm really going to be excited to listen in to the episodes that you're sharing. So for me, the battle scars are the things that you just don't forget, the lessons that you learned sort of the hard way. And for me, there's just so many that have shaped me. Things, the smallest things to where you get feedback where someone says, like, I know you're busy, I don't want to bother you. And if you hear that enough, that's actually something that we can look in the mirror and learn from.
Yeah.
Or rolling out 360s to a group of people, from a leadership perspective, but not providing the necessary support systems when they receive that information. Those were sort of battle scars, something I learned, a lesson when I saw the impact of anonymous feedback for people. So things I've learned throughout my career have helped shape, I guess, the way I am today in terms of that knowledge. So wisdom does come with experience, thankfully. So those are the battle scars. Those are the lessons learned.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question that came in was, what is the most underrated skill that you're seeing that leaders should be focusing on? So
Yeah.
as young leaders, that's our focus for this podcast here. What should we be thinking about?
What comes to mind for me is emotional intelligence, but that captures just pretty much everything. It's those, they're often called soft skills, but it's the human skills. And when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's both self-awareness and self-management. So you can be self-aware, but can you actually do anything about that? That's only one half of emotional intelligence is self. The other half is noticing what's going on for other people and being able to respond to that. So it is quite complex. And what's really
Sure.
getting in the way of that, of course, is virtualization of work, the consolidation within the system, the pressure of change. We've just had so much on the brain that's removing us from being present and actually trusting our gut. We know what it takes to develop relationships and be good leaders. Like I think most people know this stuff, but we are just so busy. Our minds are so busy. So I think just being present in self-awareness, self-management, like when's it working, when's it not? And am I really in tune with the people, my colleagues, others? Like, am I paying attention? So that's where
Yeah.
I think the biggest opportunity is. I mean, you look at the space of AI and all of the technology that we have that seems to replacing some of these things that we needed to do before as humans.
Sure.
It's so far it's not going to replace that. We need humans are the conduit to be able to make people feel connected, and from a leadership perspective, give that discretionary effort. Nobody does anything unless they want to. I think we get compliance from people that are on our teams, but that's not leadership, that's management. When we really want to tap into leadership, it's the ability to engage the hearts and minds of people and that discretionary effort that they want to do it because they want to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely love it. That's fantastic. All right. Next question is, If you could go back in time when you were a young leader and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
Oh gosh, so many things. I What comes to mind is, yeah, it's a journey, and what I've learned is that over time, things ebb and flow, and sometimes we're all in, and sometimes we have to pull back, and that's the case for ourselves, and that's the case for other people. And so there are a couple lessons here that I'll try to capture, or things that I wish I'd knew sooner. Like what I often still say to myself is, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So when I find myself, because I'm very excitable, when I find myself worked up, all heart, all charged up, I think this too shall pass. And so to really stand down, and that's that emotional intelligent piece, and try to have some objectivity. So that's something I wish I did learn the hard way through some battle scars. And then also that, like that notion that life is a journey, that it'll ebb and flow, and to trust the process. So those are things I wish I could have told my early self is, trust the process, and just really, this too shall pass.
Yeah, I think that's so important to wherever whether you're high or low, is this too shall pass, and working through it, and understanding what you're feeling, and then, like as you said, managing what you're feeling are two different things, and I can see it in myself of trying
Totally.
to figure it out, and another thing that I need to work on too is it isn't always about the where you end, it's the journey, and that's I think that's such great advice.
Yeah, and I would just add one other thing that's real that I use very practically in my work is this notion of deal with it or park it. So if something's bothering me, and it's consuming brain energy, then I need to deal with it in the right ways. But if it's just, I'm not going to deal with it, it's just going to consume energy, I need to park it. And Brene Brown has something she calls SFDs, and I use that SFD metaphor or concept often. And SFD stands for shitty first draft. And so challenging ourselves to think, what is the shitty first draft I have in my mind? Because it's generally always wrong. And so I think with what I've learned over time is humans are innately good and have good intentions. And if there's tension or things are not alignment, it's seeking to understand that to help bridge the gaps, and understanding what's in it for them, what's in it for me, to find that commonality.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Next question actually has to do with emotional intelligence. So taking us back a little bit here, you've spoken about how important it is and some of the things we should be thinking about. Any recommendations on how young leaders can develop their emotional intelligence?
Yeah, I have to kind of take a breath and breathe. And that's part of my own example of the development that I've had to do for my emotional intelligence, to kind of catch my breath. So how do you grow in terms of emotional intelligence? First starts with self-awareness, like almost like a sandbox of noticing. I, for years, have worked on like just noticing my body language. Like, am I tense? Am I leaned in? Are my fists clenched? Is my voice quivering? What's going on inside me, and just noticing it. And when can I manage that, and when can I can't? When I can't. So the first place I would say is just looking at self and what's going on. When are we at our best? When are we at our worst? And then looking to be able to create the momentum on change. So for me, that was some ones like planting my feet, taking a deep breath, noticing if I was tearful. But there was one that I shared just sort of with a laugh about myself. But I'm very passionate, so sometimes that passion can sort of bubble up as tearful, and not because I'm sad or mad, but like I'm super passionate. So one of the things, and this is a bit weird, so I'll share it, not a strategy for everybody, but pain can counter that feeling of like being too vulnerable emotions. So sort of you hear people pinching themselves. So I would hold a paper clip in my hand if I would go and have a difficult conversation that I was really worked up, and really clench that to kind of counteract that. No, that is not scientific at all from the school of Sandra, but it's worked. And I had to speak in a very difficult situation for a service of the boss that I call my boss for 20 years. My CEO passed away. Shared I had to speak at a service and do that role for the service. And I actually, he used to laugh at me. I used to carry that paperclip when I spoke with him often, but I did that to be able to get through that. So learning to manage self, I would say, is the first place. around emotional intelligence, but doing the work. So are we taking care of ourselves? Are we getting the sleep? Are we eating correctly? And then noticing our relationships with others. What are other people's going through? Looking into the eyes, being curious, really being present. I don't know if that helps at all in terms of emotional. If there's no
Absolutely, it
shortcuts.
does. Absolutely, and I appreciate you sharing like some of those as a personal
Yeah.
story. And I think what I take away from that is the being present. I think is so important. And then taking a step back and paying attention to yourself, because if we're not thinking about are we moving, are we doing things with our hands, as you've said, just taking a step back and a deep breath, as you've mentioned as well, and think about you and what you're doing. I think that's a great piece of
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, I would say Mel Robbins, she has a new book out called Let Them, and the concept is, let them do it, let them go ahead, and let me do this, let them do that. Love that book. But another piece of her teachings, or things she's been talking about recently, is like the reps, like do the reps, and the reps of any way that we build muscle capacity is to be able to focus and repeat. That's the way that our brain learns. So I think with around emotional intelligence, you have to put in the reps to be able to learn to be self-aware and to manage that on all counts. So there's no shortcuts to it.
Thank you. I think that's fantastic. I'm going to bump us down to what we're calling our rapid fire round.
Okay.
So we're going to switch gears. So those are very in-depth answers, which I absolutely loved. I think everybody's going to love them. And we're going to get into just a series of questions, and they're just quick hits, just to get to know you a little bit better, and
Okay.
and we'll dive into those. Are you ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Okay. My first question I stole from a fellow NYLC person, Brian Albers. Give him a shout out. But he dropped it when we were sitting at a table waiting for some conversation to start, and I absolutely love it. So it's Friday night. You're putting a movie in, but you've got to go to the corner store. You need to buy a drink, a chocolate bar, and a bag of chips. What are you buying?
Oh dear. Okay, definitely ketchup chips. It's so
All right.
Canadian. Apparently
Yep.
don't have ketchup chips in the US, so definitely ketchup chips. Chocolate bar, probably a Twix because it has that right balance
Mm.
of like salt and chocolate, or something dark chocolate. And drink, well, depends if I'm like indulging or not. So if
You
if
gotta you
it's
gotta indulge. It's Friday
okay,
night.
definitely red wine. If I'm, really, but that doesn't really, maybe definitely on the chips. Ketchup chips might not be a good pair up for a nice bottle of red wine. But yeah, so those were my three.
Love it. Thank you. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Right here on the west coast of British Columbia, we live in the most beautiful part of the world right on the west coast. So that's where I would live, right where I
L-
am on the Sunshine Coast in British Columbia.
Love it. Love it. Who is your most impactful mentor?
Yeah, my CEO, Dave Cragen, was for 20 years, and he just, we weren't all that similar, actually. We were sort of like oil and water sometimes, but he definitely shaped a lot of my philosophies as well as pushed me way out of my comfort zone, which I can't thank him enough for that.
Thank you. What was your childhood dream job?
This is a funny one. I'll be quick. It was to be, now I'm dating myself, and you probably don't even know what this is and who this is, but there was a show called The Love Boat, which is Princess Cruises. And so Julie was the cruise director on The Love Boat. And she basically had a clipboard, bossed everybody around. You got in there, got on the ship, and she made everything happen. And that's how I wanted to be Julie off The Love Boat. And I went on my first Princess cruise with my parents in September, and there was a cruise director. I was like, yeah, I could have done that job. I've been really successful.
That is great. And so, what was your first job?
Gosh, there was a collection of them. I think it was lifeguarding. Yeah, I was a lifeguard. Swimming instructor was my first job.
Cool. Favorite pastime?
Oh, it's terrible, but it is really this work that I do. I love, 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 being helping other people grow, and love, like, just really helping people be their best selves. But outside of the work sort of one, which is, I don't call that work, but favorite pastime is just being with family and being outdoors.
Love it. Talk or text?
Text, definitely.
Cake, pie, or cookies?
Oh gosh. Yes. Funny story, my husband loves pie. I dislike pie. So I often tease about getting him a t-shirt that says I love pie and a t-shirt that says pie is dumb for me. So I don't like pie, but cookies, yes.
Awesome. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Dog or cat?
Used to be dog, now it's cat.
Super salad.
Salad.
Ask permission or beg forgiveness?
Beg for forgiveness.
Lake or ocean?
Lake.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Currently reading?
Mel Robbins, Let Them.
Love it. Favorite podcast?
Your Brain at Work by the Neuro Leadership Institute.
Okay, we'll check that one out. What are you currently streaming?
Oh gosh. Yes, we were watching, I don't even know, some shows on Netflix with our son. He's 15, so we're always looking for those outdoor wilderness shows, but I can't tell you the name of what they are. Like a Survivor type thing or a last man standing kind of adventure.
Awesome. All right. And before we close up, final words of wisdom.
I know words of wisdom. Let me see. I would say that, you know, just do it. Like that's what comes to mind. I think nobody ever asked me once, not once, to do this work. Never. And so I think about when you say beg for forgiveness or just do it. I think just do it. Just step into what you want to do. The credit union system is amazing in terms of the opportunity you can create for yourself within your department, within your credit union, and within the system. And I would say just do it. Just take action. I'd be hard pressed to say that someone's going to stop you from doing something positive.
That is awesome. I absolutely love that so much. And I think it speaks back to before about should. It isn't
Yeah,
should, just do it. Take the action.
just do it.
Uh, I love that. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It's been absolutely wonderful to get some of your insights, get to know you a little bit better. And we can't thank you enough for your support of the National Young Leader Committee, whether it's this podcast or coming out and speaking to us. I know you support us in so many ways. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be the first guest. And thank you, Jamie, and thank you to all the National Young Leaders in the system for what you do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandra. So thanks to everybody for tuning in to the first episode of Leaders Unscripted, your questions, their answers. Hope you loved it. Hope you found it insightful. And if you've got questions or things you'd like to ask of our next guests, please reach out to us either on Circle or our email is nylc@ccua.com and keep an eye on future things for us on Circle or for emails. We value your input and look forward to hearing from you all in the future. And so until next time, I'm Jamie Carson signing off for the NYLC. Take care.